Well, Gloria, I was just saying, and we're starting the broadcast, but then I hit the button.
Right.
Hi, guys. Lee Cole here. Got Gloria here. Hope y'all are doing great.
Hey, everybody.
And oh yeah, and do you hear that? I mean,
Yes.
my rescue dogs. And anybody on a webinar with me knows, or mastermind calls knows all about my rescue dogs. Who, for some reason, when they hear me talking and they can't
Uh-huh.
get to me, they need to bark. They just need to. But anyway, guys, Gloria, this is, we've been talking about this for some time. We've been
Yeah.
talking, you and I for, I mean, you and I have known each other since 2011. And, hey, guys, if you don't know who the hell we are, you probably need to ask us because we're just kind of sort of assuming that you know who we are. We uh, we do not do highly scripted webinars because those are dull and boring. So you're going to learn a ton from this thing, believe me. Hey, Don, how's it going, buddy? And so basically, we met in 2011. You bought some products of mine. You built a really cool business using that. And I think that that had some structural issues. And then you sort of backed up. And now you've got, and you can tell people about this, but now you've got two, not one, but two really, really cool businesses that don't have structural issues.
Right.
And I think you and I, from two different points of view over the years came to exactly the same conclusions about how someone should build one of these businesses. And by one of these businesses, folks, I'm talking about the local marketing business.
Hmm.
However that works with you, it could express itself in social media. It could express itself with you just specialize in Google My Business stuff, whatever. But I mean, all of these, the details are really not that important. What makes these businesses work actually is the structure. I mean, it's the structure of the business. And Gloria, as you know, I've been, last year I did a lot of coaching, trying to teach, teaching people these concepts. And you came to me recently and said, you got the cool software, which by the way, is awesome. And then you so graciously volunteered to take all of your experience and teach these guys. Frederick, we'll get a screen, we'll get a screenshot, share Gloria's screen in just a second. Actually teach these guys how they should be building these businesses because this stuff ain't taught by anybody else except me a little bit and now you. And this is what makes the difference, folks. Between seriously, I can tell you like 100% this makes a difference between real success and failure. So Gloria,
Yeah.
Frederick, bonjour Frederick, ça va? Just reminded me that we can't see a screen. So you're the presenter. You want to show us your screen and
Yeah.
um, tell these guys what they need to know. It's going to surprise you. It really is. Tell them what they need to know to actually build a real freaking business. So
Mhm.
I'm going to
Mhm.
shut up now and you start talking.
All right. Yeah, well, thanks. And yeah, it's really true because, I started my agency. It was actually a little over a year ago. We formed it back at the end of 2018. And then I did not, what happened with the agency. And then the agency, of course, is an offshoot, an additional business from my main business, which is the software company. And so the agency, we formed it in the end of 2018, right? Literally right at the end. And you'd think like, why don't you just go ahead and just jump in and get going and start taking clients right away? And what I did is I purposefully held back. And the reason why is because I had a little bit of experience to kind of fall back on. And I really knew that what I wanted to do was to build that agency so that it would scale. And it really is a different method or system versus just taking clients and stuff like that and building an agency so that you can scale and avoid this. And so I call this, the feast famine syndrome. And what happens a lot of times is we get excited, we're passionate about what we do, and we want to go out and we want to share it with people because we believe that we can add value. And so if we start, and especially being a startup, we're usually on our own. We don't have help. It's just us, other than, if we can hire some outsourcers and help and stuff like that. But mostly it's all on us to get the business going, right? And so, we're excited and we do the little hustle. At least that's what I do is, I need, I'll just go ahead, and I've always, just been able to make things, just hustle and go ahead and market and let people know. If I needed to attend meetings, BNI meetings, different things like that, I did. Hustle to get leads, to get clients, right? So we do the lead gen first. And the thing is we have the lead generation process, that's marketing. And then you have the sales process, that's sales, two different functions in an organization. And typically what happens is your sales takes, back and forth follow up, different things like that. And so while you're spending time doing those things, and then you get them finally converted, then the next step is you got to deliver on what you promised, right? You said you were going to do XYZ, whether it be Google Maps or, digital, social media marketing, whatever it is that you want to do, you have to fulfill on what you sold them, right? And so while you're busy in fulfillment mode, if you don't have a lot of resources, you're kind of doing it all, you typically will stop marketing and stop selling while you're in fulfillment mode. I mean, I still do. That's why, I had to scale to get a sales rep, right? I have one sales rep over at Linkshore, and then we have several over at Beep2B. And so while you're doing that, you can't, continue to market basically because you're so busy fulfilling and you're wearing multiple hats. You got to do a bunch of stuff. And so what happens is you're in feast mode, right? You've got the money, you got the client, things are going good. And then when you get done fulfilling, what happens a lot of times is you go in that famine mode, because then you go, oh, I don't have a pipeline built. I need to go and I need to start this whole deal all over again. And this is typical. It's not atypical. It's very typical. It's normal. And the good news is that if you do this, you're going to get some clients and stuff like that, or customers, whatever you want to call them. The bad news is that you kind of stay in this circle, right? And it's really, really hard to get out of. And that's where a lot of people find themselves, is unable to move beyond this, to where they're not kind of constantly marketing, and then they're in sales, and then they're, doing fulfillment. And then while they're doing fulfillment, they don't have a pipeline. Then they got to continue, to hustle because next month's bills are coming in place. And so this is normal. And the reason why that it is normal is because we have something, let me go ahead and, yeah, there we go. We have something, and, this was done by, I'm sorry, can you still see my screen or no? Did I?
Yeah, we can see your screen.
Okay.
Great.
Okay.
But
Okay.
can you just go back to the previous slide?
Oh, yeah.
Just a second. Because I want to add a couple of things. So, you mentioned feast or famine, but there's another huge issue that I personally ran into, and it just the daylights out of me for like 2 years until I started doing it. But that was what I call a ceiling. Because, and the ceiling was never enough money, and it was always way too much work to maintain that, right? I mean,
right.
but, because you don't have certain things in place that we're going to talk about as the webinar unfolds, because you don't have those things in place, you are constantly spending. It's like the reverse of the 80-20 rule, right? I mean, you're spending that 80% of your time doing stuff that has to be done, but that's not gonna, that's not going to build the business for you. And so, you might be making $20,000 or $30,000 a year. I mean, I can't live off that. I mean, or you might be bumping up to like $40,000 a year. That's a little better, but you're never going to really break through. You're never going to really break free of two things. One, what I call the ceiling there, but two, you're never going to really break free of being able to work in your business, being able to work on your business as opposed to in your business, right? You're always going to be back in the back of the restaurant washing the damn dishes also.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah. Instead of looking at and analyzing, what's the most profitable items on the menu, and how can I sell
Yeah,
more of them, and how can I bring more people
you
in,
basically have just
Mhm.
you basically have just created a job for yourself, which is anywhere from low paying, considering the numbers of hours you're putting into it, low paying to maybe moderately okay paying, but that's all you got. And it can get a lot better. So Gloria, next
Yep.
slide, show us the next thing.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I only have two slides, so this
Okay,
isn't a big
we have
presentation.
2 slides, folks,
Yeah, sorry.
with
Yeah,
lots of
sorry.
information in them. So yeah,
Yeah, we have tons of information. And so what typically happens is just, businesses have this kind of growth process or evolution process. And what happens is a lot of times people get stuck right here. This is where you're typically doing everything just pretty much like we talked about. And it's really hard to get from here to here unless you do a couple of things so that you know what your current position is, and then you can put a plan in to move forward, right? And so those require a couple of things. You kind of have to make sure, you have to look at and say, what am I selling? Is it something that I can sell a lot of to a lot of people with as little input from me as possible? Meaning, how can I systemize it? How can I make what I like to say is a sausage factory? And then whenever I'm coaching people, this is the first thing that I do, is tell me what you're going to sell. All right, tell me about it, map it out. What is it? All those types of things. And then so you want to do that. You want to have something that is sausage factory a bull, if you call it. You really want to make sure that you can what I call productize it, and then you can sell it over and over and over again to your target market. And that's kind of the big thing. And then the next thing that I find is the big problem here is that, how do you know, like, to move to stage 2, to bring on equity partner, or to bring on, even help? It doesn't need to be an equity partner. It can be just even outsourcers, people that can help you propel the business forward. How do you know if you can even afford to do that or not, if you don't have an idea of what your profit margin is, if you're not building in you into the formula? I can tell you, in all my projections, every time I have to touch client work, I factor in my time into it. And then anything over and above that, and then I factor everybody else's time into it, and all the other stuff. And then everything over and above that is what I consider profit. All right, because if I don't, and I'm kind of giving these projects free time, and I'm not accounting for it, then I really don't have an idea of what my true numbers are, right? And I'll show you that. I have a nice little breakdown for you. So those are a couple things that you want to do, is you want to be able to make sure that what you're selling, you can make it easily repeatable. Once you make it easily repeatable, what happens is it gets easier and easier for you to produce. The people that are doing it for you, they kind of get in a groove, so it takes less time. It gets more, it gets better, it gets more efficient. You're spending less money on producing that thing, so that you have a little more profit margin, right? So that's one of the reasons why you want to make sure that you, quote unquote, productize your offering. And then the next thing that you want to do before you can even move here is, how can you even think about, can I bring on people to help me with this? Or maybe it's time, I've only got a certain skill set in one lane, and if I had skill set in another lane, and maybe I can bring on a partner and offer them some type of equity position, but nobody's going to take you up on it unless they kind of know, what's the potential here, right? Is this going to be a money maker, or is it going to sink me? So you want to be able to do that, and that's even before you can move here, right? And
well,
then,
Gloria,
uh-huh,
forget the equity thing, because not everybody wants a
that's right.
business that's trending toward an enterprise you could sell to a private equity firm or something. Some people just want a damn nice income and the time to enjoy it.
That's
So a
that's
couple of
right.
things with what you said. Uh, Don, that's a fabulous question. We'll get to that. So a couple of things about what you said. The productizing of the offering is key, because you're just spending, if you don't do that, in other words, guys, you can look at every client and sit there and analyze what that one person or that one business needs, and you can come up with the perfect custom solution. But see, there's a problem with this is the next client that you got to back up and you got to analyze them and come up with the custom solution, which may be slightly different. Maybe one business needs a little heavy on pay-per-click advertising, another business needs a little heavy on just like YouTube advertising. Hang on one second, guys. Sorry, I had to cough. But anyway, when you do that, you're just really slowing yourself down, but especially it means that that you are the one who has to tell the clients what, has to figure out what you're selling. There is no way that you're getting anyone to help you do the selling if that high level work has to be done by you every single time. So you got that issue. And then you have no idea what you're going to outsource and to whom you're going to outsource it to, because you have no idea what the costs are, right?
That's right. That's probably the two primary drivers, of why my first foray into having my own online, marketing business, my own agency failed. Was that's exactly what I was doing. Is I was doing custom solutions for everybody. I'd have to go out and do a brand new proposal. I didn't have, I kind of had like the format template, but I'd have to go and do my best guess and estimating how much is this going to cost to do this and that. And I could never get a handle on was I profitable or not. Plus, what
because
happened was it was a brand new, we were building a brand new widget, so it was very ineffective as well, inefficient.
The first time you do something, Gloria, it takes at least 5 times as long as the second time you do it, and that takes 3 times as long as the third time you do it, right? I mean, so there's no efficiency of scale there, right?
Yeah.
And in terms of outsourcing, you have no idea whether the part that you're outsourcing should be outsourced, because you're not looking at this as a product. It may just be crap that doesn't need to be part of the product. In other words, you might be just paying for something to be done that doesn't matter to the market.
That's right.
B, you have no idea that what you're paying your outsourcer doesn't end up being more than what the what the job is worth. I mean, this would be like paying somebody to sweep the floor at McDonald's, paying them $50,000 a year. I'm sorry, sweeping floors does not make you $50,000 a year. It's not worth that. See, economically. So, and because of that, all your numbers are cattywampus, and basically the best thing that's going to happen to you is you're just going to struggle and not grow, and the worst thing that's going to happen to you is just going to flat go out of business.
Yeah, because what happened with me is that cash was coming in, but cash was going out just as fast, and there was really no profit margin. And sometimes I'd lose money on projects, and I had no idea. It was just cash in, cash out, cash in, cash out, that type of thing. And so eventually, it just catches up with you, right? And so that's kind of what happened. It was kind of a rough time, but here we are now. But yeah, so those are some of the things that happen. And if you don't have a handle on your product, you can't really productize it and sell the same thing over and over again. You've got those efficiencies where you can't scale. You don't know whether you're making money or not, so you can't really project correctly. You don't know, can I bring on help? How much is it going to cost to actually, I call it make, market and sell MMS. How much is it going to cost me to make, market, and sell my thing? And so you don't know, can I bring somebody on that can help me do this, like an outsourcer, but you don't know your numbers. So it's like, how can I know if I can afford to pay them or not, other than cash flowing in and cash flowing out type of situation. And so when that happens, it's almost like you're literally treading water, and it becomes almost like a matter of time. You know what I'm saying? If you're not profitable, you're not showing a profit, and you're less than break even, it's just going to be a matter of time where you're spending more, than you start to make, that you're making. And then you start chasing money, type of thing, trying to chase, deals. And that's what I did is I ended up I knew I was in trouble. And what I did is I just started bringing in deals because I knew I could bring in deals and I knew they were the wrong deals, the wrong clients, the wrong
Right.
everything. But I needed the money and and then it
Yeah.
ended up, they were difficult. It ended up costing me more because I couldn't really, it wasn't a good fit for what I had to offer, even though it was custom, it really wasn't a good fit at all. So it just kind of turned into this quagmire, right? And yeah, so that's kind of, I think, what happens a lot of times. And when when I work with some coaching students, literally that's the first thing I do is, what do you got to sell? Oh, tell me about it.
Right.
Break it down
Mhm.
and let me see all of the elements that it consists of. And then let me see, how you fulfill it. Let me see your system for fulfillment. And then let me see your numbers. Let's see how much you're charging for this. Is that enough? How much does it cost you to make it? How much does it cost you to market it? How much does it cost you to sell it? You know, what's your profit margin? Those types of things. So those are kind of like the fundamentals. And if you don't have that, then it's just a matter of time where it will catch up with you. And it's like a law of gravity. You know what I'm saying? It's like if you eventually have cash in and you're spending more than you're making, then in a matter of time and you're not profitable, you're going to get in trouble. It's like the law of gravity for the most part.
Exactly. Exactly. Another thing, Gloria, is, and I see this a lot working with helping people with their businesses. Uh, you don't really understand if you should be selling the thing that you're selling in the first place.
Hmm. That's right.
And people ask me all the time, what should I be selling? Yeah, that's really two questions. They're part of one of those questions is kind of silly. It's like, well, what's the easy thing to sell? Uh, and again, nothing is easy to sell. So there. Um, but the other part of the question is really should be from a business point of view, what's the most profitable thing to sell that I can sell? Like if you wrote down 5 things that you could sell, or even the same thing but 5 little tweaks on the same thing. So now, which and you go through the numbers and you look at it the way Gloria is going to show us how to do. You're probably going to find out that you'll just break even on one of those, and 3 of those you're really gonna you're not making enough money on 3 of those, and maybe the fifth one or the whichever one out of the 5 is going to be really very profitable.
Hmm.
And that's the only way to make that decision. Just throwing darts at a board, or which is probably actually worse than throwing darts at a board, just buying the next info product that lands in your email box and saying, well, hell, I think I'll try that. These are not good ways of making these decisions. And if you've been frustrated in this business, we are now honestly explaining to you why you've been frustrated. It's not your fault. It's just that nobody ever told you that this actually is how you build one of these businesses. So
Yeah, yeah. What
continue
what
on, Gloria.
happened? Well, I was going to say what happens and what happened with me is because I mean, like I think as entrepreneurs and as business people, we have awareness. We have a gut instinct, and you can kind of see what's going on in your business, even if you really don't want to. You can kind of see it, and I could. I didn't want to admit it to myself, but I could see it. And so I did just that, Lee, as I went into the bright, shiny object syndrome mode, saying, maybe if I just focus on this looks really easy. I can do this, I can get it up and running, and I'll be fine. But there was a big learning curve. I didn't have the expertise or the experience in that particular thing. So there was a little bit of learning there. And so I would do that, and then it didn't prove fruitful. And then in an act of desperation, it actually made matters worse, to be truthful with you. It really did.
Yeah, it's a very frustrating. I mean, again, the best thing that's going to happen
So,
to you there over time is you're just going to go out of business and just buy info products all day long, right? I guess that'd be about the best thing. Gloria, you still there? You sound like you're fading out.
yeah, yeah. No,
Okay,
am
good.
I, can you hear me all right? Okay, cool.
We can hear you. You kind of
Yeah.
faded in and out for me. You know, it's the
Oh,
virus,
sorry about
Gloria.
that. I'll
It's
speak.
affecting everything.
No,
No,
yeah,
no, no, no. You're fine. You're fine.
yeah, yeah. So what I found is that if I was to break it down when working with some of the folks that I coach and stuff, and I wanted to break it down to a couple of fundamental things, like what are these things that must happen in your business, and if you don't have happen, you're going to be struggling. And I really just distilled it down to three fundamental things, as I really call them like the initial building blocks, right? And that is, you have to productize your business. You have to be able to get your arms around it and turn it into a widget. Picture the Ford factory assembly line, right? And make sure that you can repeat it over and over again, and then sell it to your target audience over and over and over again. And then that second thing was the numbers, and as much as I'm not a big Lee or a mathematician, but I'm not a big numbers person. I really hate numbers. In our business, I actually have my husband's my bookkeeper. I was like, don't put me near the numbers, because I can't stand them, right? And so because I did not like numbers, I thought, I just can ignore them. And if I ignore them, then you know what? It's not a problem. And that's really not the case. So you have to have an idea and get your arms around the numbers. And then once you have that, then okay, how can I make my time efficient? Can I replace my time? Maybe I'm doing this thing in the business, when I'm doing, product work or client work or customer work. And you know what? I probably could find somebody that could do that. I could train somebody on that. And I can pay them to do that. And if I know my numbers, I know what I can pay them. And then I'll be able to focus on other things in my business that are kind of those bigger strategy things. How do I further systemize? How do I make more money? How do I expand? All those types of things. What can I do to make everything more efficient? How can I cut costs and still keep, the level of service? All those types of things are what you want to focus on that are going to make really big differences in your business. So that's kind of what I found are those three things. And yeah, and again, whenever I do with my coaching students, that's exactly what we do. That's the first thing we do. We don't do anything else until that's it, and then those are the building blocks and we build around it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So basically what you're talking about is instead of, I mean, look, we all have to start with like a gut level thing, right? Now we have to start with, I like this. I want to make money doing this. I mean, it
That's
has to be an emotional beginning. And we all, some people are drawn to different aspects of stuff. But once you get that out of the way, you got to get down to the numbers, guys. And you got to, it's not sexy. It's really not. It's not cool. It takes more than 3 steps. It's not that hard, frankly, but there's nothing, there's nothing cool about this except for the fact that it freaking works every time somebody does
Mhm.
this, and they get rational. They get hold of their business in a rational way. It freaking works. This is, again, if you've been frustrated, this is why. There's no other reason why. This
That's
is
right.
actually the reason why. So carry on.
Yep. So yeah, so really, I've got what I did is I did a sample. I know this is boring, but how many would like to see numbers and kind of see a breakdown of what I'm talking about? Should I show that, Lee, and share that?
Oh,
And I'll go ahead and
absolutely.
give
You
you
should
the
show it. Well,
spreadsheet.
look,
Yeah.
I got news for you. Whether anybody wants to see it or not, you need to see this. This is like medicine. You may not want to take it, but you need this.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I think so. I'm a firm believer in that. And so let me go ahead and pull it up here and get it over. Okay. There we go. All right. All right, so what I did is this is called, and if you guys want this, Lee, I'll go ahead and I'll make sure that this gets shared. So what I did is I created just a Google, this is a very, very simple very, very simple, and I have the formulas baked in and everything, right? And this is exactly what I use. It'll be depending on the product and whatever my coaching students want. It might, we might have more things over here and stuff like that. But we start with a price, and what I said is, let's just do profile writing services. I haven't been in that in a while, but let's start with the price, right, at $5.95. So we're starting brand new, and we say, okay, we're going to sell somebody a profile, and let's just say my cost is $5.95. I don't even know if that's the going rate, but let's go ahead and do that. And then what I do is I go, okay, what are all the pieces that go into if I have to build a profile for somebody? And so I listed them down. Well, probably I'm either going to have to talk to them or somehow get that information from them, right? And then I actually have to create the profile myself, or edit it, or have somebody else do it, or get a piece of software to do it. And then I'm probably going to want to do like a graphic cover, for them, for their little graphic cover design. And then if there's a revision process, right? What if they're not really happy with it the first time around and they want a couple of revisions? What do I do there? And then what do I do? Like, how do I get the profile to them? Do I just send them an email and say, here it is, have a nice life? What's my customer service? Do I go ahead and say, I'll upload it for you? Do I have any software cost in doing this, right? Am I paying monthly services for any software, any platform that's going to help me? And then how much does it cost to actually acquire that customer? Because you have to factor that in. So do I have any sales cost? Do I have any marketing costs? Am I running ads? What's that, right? And then I come up with my net profit. And then what I did is I just divided my net profit into my sales amount, and then I came up with my profit margin. So now I know I've got $151 left over, right? So let's just walk through this. Is this making sense for everybody? Do you guys
Totally,
have
totally. It's really exciting, because not only are you figuring out the numbers, but you're doing another thing that most people really struggle with, which is you're actually figuring out the process.
Yes, that's part of it, because you have to attach price to each bit of the process, right? To see how much does that
Yeah.
piece cost, do I have to outsource it, who's going to do this, that type of thing. So what I did is, so I start here with the $5.95, and then I literally just go through and say $5.95. I figured I'm going to attach like $60 for 1 hour for me, right? And just say I could probably do that interview in 40 to 60 minutes, and I'll just assign a value of $60, right? And so if I take $5.95 and minus 60, I have the formula built in, it leaves me $5.35, right? So this is the net amount remaining column. And so I go, what else are my costs? So I go $5.35, I got to actually create the profile. I have this great, I do it, right? I do it. I know it takes me about 2 hours to do a really good profile. And so I'm saying 2 hours at $60 an hour, $120 for me to do the profile. So I did $535 minus 120, and I came up with $415, right? And then I just kind of worked down, and I go, okay, now I got to get them a graphic cover, because no profile is complete without a graphic cover. And then what I'll do is I subtract that, and it gives me my net cost, right? And then I have a resource, I know I can get it on Fiverr or something like that. And then I just work my way down. What if there's revisions? I'll figure about an hour for revisions, and I assign the value. And again, now I've got 390 minus 60 is 330. And then I just work my way down. What is it going to take to upload? I figured 30 minutes, probably just either have them just get me access or get them on a screen share, something where I can upload it for them. So 30 minutes, I figured, right? So 330 minus 30 is 300. And then do I have any software costs? Well, no, because I kind of do it manually. So there's no value there. So I've got $300 for the cost of actually building fulfilling it. It's not about selling or marketing it. So this is just the fulfillment. So I've got 300 from 595. I've got $295. About half of it was in the actual fulfillment process. Now I say, how much, how did I get this client? Did I have a salesperson do it? was it affiliate, somebody, was it a referral fee? And I just figured like it was a referral fee. And I think this was 25% or something like that. Oh, 50%, right, is what it looks like, close to 50%. And so you can see I've got 151 left. And so my net profit out of the 595 is only $151. So I've got a 23, almost a 30% profit margin. But now I can go and I can go, gee, I'm really busy with this profile stuff. I don't have time really to do a lot of it. I mean, I'm working a lot, I'm doing a lot of profiles. I wonder if I could hire somebody to do that bit for me and kind of show them my process and train them. And if I didn't have this information, I would have no idea. I would just throw a wild number. Yeah, I'll pay you X amount, not knowing if it's profitable or not. But now I know I can say, you know what, it cost me for the entire profile process, the $60 for the intake and 120, so that's 180, and then the revision process, that's another 90, so that's what, 270. So then I could go ahead and I can start probably looking at bringing people in and saying, can I get somebody in for cheaper than $270 to build these profiles for me? And I charge them, or they charge me, and I pay them and stuff. And so that's how you can, can I scale? Can I afford to bring somebody on? That type of thing. And so you're replacing yourself here, right? Me, and then you still have a little bit of a profit margin for further expansion and stuff. Does that make sense?
Guys, if you have any questions, let us know. Thelma says this is good training. This is great training. I mean, just this one thing, let's just take a little bitty profile writing service as a business, like you're a solopreneur. This one thing makes a template, not only for understanding what you're doing right now, but also a template for growing your business because of what you said. Like you have, I think you said you had $270 worth of costs that you were doing. So does it make sense to bring somebody on? I mean, now you can start to make rational decisions about your business. And it's really exciting because if you could bring somebody on or some people on to do that $270 worth of stuff for $200, guess what you've just done? You've just added 70 to your bottom line, right? And you can start to, now you have the ability to actually understand and scale your business to any level you want to, but forget the stratosphere. I mean, this is actually, now you understand how to run this freaking business just by doing this.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So that's kind of, this is a core bit of it. Do we have any questions, Lee?
Well, let's say we had a couple of things. James says, it's a great question. How do you come up with your gross service price? In other words, how do you come up with the $595?
Yeah, that is a fantastic question. That's a great question. What you want to do is, obviously you want to look at what you are offering, all right, and assign a value to it. A good place to start is to kind of look at some of the competition. What are they doing it for? Because if there's a total mismatch, like if other people are doing it for right around $595 and I want to come in and say, well, I don't want to charge $595, I want to charge $25.95, then I'd have to justify that in my marketing, right? I'd have to say, I'd have to answer the question, why are my profiles worth $2,000 more than what everybody else on average is paying for them, right? So a lot of it is just comparison with what is going on in the market. And then what you want to do is you want to look at these right here to say, is there any secret sauce or any anything that is over and above that they really can't get anywhere else that I can assign a value to. And if that's the case, then you can, add on to that, as long as you can bake that in, and as long as people, because look, the fair market value is what people are willing to pay, right? So that's kind of how I do when I'm working with my students. I actually have them go and do a bunch of, take a look at what are other people doing in your space and what are they selling that stuff for, and give me a breakdown of that. It's a little bit of, you have to think about things a little bit, and then you come up with a, a number, and you want to make sure that the numbers work out before before you start selling them at this amount. You want to make sure that you're profitable.
Well, this is really exciting because selling, and James, I know you got a follow-up question. That's another good one, and we'll get to that. But, selling a profile writing service, it's not a commodity. You can't look up the number that it's selling at today in the newspaper, right? Or you can't check it online. Profile writing services were down 2% and now sell for,
Right.
$582 today. I mean, it's not, but because they're not interchangeable. I mean, there's a whole ton of stuff going on there. So another really exciting thing is, so let's say this is your basic nuts and bolts, just sort of garden variety profile writing service. But by looking at this and thinking about it and saying, okay, well, how could I sell one for $1,000?
That's right.
Well, like you said, Gloria, there's some things that need changing. There's going to have to be some value added, but maybe that's not even what you're going to call a profile writing service. Maybe you're going to call that a social media branding
Hmm.
service or something like that. I
Hmm.
mean, now you have instead of just being in a room with a blindfold on that's totally dark and just throwing darts around and hoping to God you hit the little tiny dartboard sometime. Now you have a rational way of really thinking about your business. I mean, do you need, and using your marketing head, do you
Yeah.
need to rename the service? Give it a little more cachet. Do you need to add some other stuff? Well, gee, what's that going to cost you? What's that going to do to the profit margin?
Hmm.
I mean, is that going to be outsourceable? Can I get another human being to do that? Or do I have to be Picasso in order to make these great graphics or something like that? See what I'm saying? So
Yes.
this is really, really, really important because this, guys, is how you take a garden variety profile writing service and you have the numbers and the insight into turning this into a high level, very much more expensive, like 2, 3, 4 times more expensive branding service. But the branding service could be at base nothing more than a profile writing service. See what I'm saying? But you can't do that unless you've broken it down and you're looking at the numbers.
Hmm.
James, I think I kind of talked about your question a little bit. Basically, he was saying, do you adjust your profit margin to be in a range of, say, 20%? I think he means 20% of the gross. In other words, should you always make 20% of the gross? I mean, is that like a thing, or what about that?
Yeah, yeah, that's a really great question. And so you've got, like we've got 28%. I really shoot for between 30 and 40%. I usually hit around 30, 35%. That's a pretty decent, profit margin as long as you're doing these right, as long as this is exactly right. And if you're, you assign value to the time that you spend in it. One of the things that I find is that, and I didn't do, is I just kept throwing my time at client work and then not putting any value and not assigning it. And just like one of the folks that I work with that helped me on our client work, I bake my price in. So yeah.
Yeah,
So 30 between 30 and 40%. 40%, for a agency, I think the average profit margin is right around 30%. But if you do your numbers right, and between 30 and 40% is pretty good, as long as you're baking everything in, basically. Everything. Do you need someone to help project management? What about your software? Everything you want to bake in, and then you have a true profit margin. Mhm.
can I point out a couple more things?
Yeah.
That's just looking at your little spreadsheet here. Look at lines 3, 4, 6, and 7, and where it says resource me, right? So
Hmm.
what
Hmm.
that means is 3 and 4, you're looking at $180, and the other two me's add up to 90, so $270.
Hmm.
When you're just getting started out and you're small potatoes, and you are the one doing the fulfilling, right?
Hmm.
Okay. It's like you're paying yourself as your own outsourcer, $270 total per profile, right? So this is really cool because when you're starting out, you just, you got a few clients, the jet is trying to take off, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're not gonna, don't look at this and think, well, heck, all I'm gonna make is $151 every time I do one of these things. No, at the beginning, you're gonna make $151 plus $270.
Mm-hmm.
The deal is, as your business grows, and you start peeling off parts of this, like perhaps peeling off the profile intake interview, or maybe automating it. I mean, you just don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
you are going to sell more volume, right? And yes, the amount that you yourself make per unit sold is going to go less. Is going to be less because you're paying other people to do stuff, but your volume's going to go up. And then again, and it's a little more advanced, but again, you come up with a very, very rational way of deciding not only how, but if you should
Mm-hmm.
actually try to scale this particular business.
Yeah, that's right. That's such a good point. Yeah, that is so true. But and you have to have this type of information if you're going to make those types of business decisions. But you nailed it, Lee. That's the secret in how you scale is
Yep.
you know the numbers. And then even though you might be, like you said here at the profile interview, I can say, gosh, I really don't have time to do that client onboarding like I used to, but I found someone that can do it as good as me, and here's what I can pay for that. So even though you're paying somebody to do that, you're making less money, but you are doing more volume, like you said. Instead of being able to do only X number of profiles a week, now you can like maybe double that or whatever. So you're making more money. That's the scale piece. Exactly.
Yeah, or maybe you hire somebody to create some software for you that does part of this, and now
Mhm.
you can figure out, well, if I pay them, $2,000, $3,000 to do the software, when do I know that I am in profit for that software, right? How many more deals do I have to do before I know that I've paid off the software, in other words?
Yeah, that's
So,
right.
so none of this, guys, you're not going to have much of a business unless you approach it this way. Been there, Gloria. I mean, you and I are really
Mhm.
close friends. We share a lot of stuff. I've made all the mistakes you've made, and then like a ton more, right?
Mhm, mhm.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, it just is. We can't help it. It just is. You're not going to have much of a business unless you approach it this way, and you're never going to have a really healthy business until you approach it this way. It won't happen.
Yeah,
Yeah, Robert.
I'm
Robert's
sorry.
got a great question. Go ahead, Gloria. I'm sorry.
Oh no, I was gonna say I've never seen it happen. You
No,
just, yeah, it just doesn't happen. You have to do this. You have to know this. Yeah, it's fundamental.
yeah. And Robert says, can you pay less to outsource? Yeah, but now, Robert, you have a rational way of looking at how much can you afford to pay someone.
Hmm.
Can you get the level of service that you need for less money? If so, well, that would mean that now this is kind of a tiny example, and guys, just ignore my rescue dog. He's, as we say on every webinar, he had a rough life. Okay, both of them did. So we just ignore them till they got here. Now they live in splendor. But my point is, Robert, this is a baby example, but when you're thinking about outsourcing, it doesn't mean just handing somebody something and say, hey, go do that, right? I mean, that's actually a prescription for massive failure.
Hmm.
But what do you outsource first? I mean, look at the four Me's. We've got profile intake, product creation, revision process, profile handover. I mean, those all have different levels, vastly different levels of skill associated with them.
Hmm.
Profile handover might easily be a fairly, low paid, I don't mean exploited, but I mean low paid, outsourcer who sits there, hands somebody something, follows a script, makes sure that they write down any questions that the person might have, et cetera, right?
Hmm.
So the one thing that may be much harder for this little business to outsource right now is profile creation. Gloria knows a ton about what a profile needs to look like and be like. So before she, in this little baby business here, before she outsources that profile creation, there's going to have to be some stuff that's going to happen. She's never going to find another Gloria. That won't happen. Okay. Nobody's going to be as interested in the business as her. Nobody's going to be as good at it as her by that point. But so now she's got to think, well, how can I do, profile creation? I mean, do I turn it into a template? Do I have several templates? Do I let somebody create it and then I look at it real fast? I mean, this helps you make all of those decisions. And then you, as you make these decisions and tweak your business and grow your business, you actually will come up with more little spreadsheets like this, comparing them to each other, and you have the numbers. Well, how much money am I going to make? Did my profit margin go up or down? Do I really want to do this? Can I do this in the first place? This answers all of these questions, and it allows you to create, grow, and scale a business very rationally without just beating your head against the wall and just saying, oh, hell, I guess I'll just go buy another $27 info product and see if that's going to solve my problems. I can guarantee you that it won't.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, very, very true. Yeah, these are the kind
Dale's got a good, so sorry about that, but
yeah.
Dale's got a great point. Do either of you rent office space or do you work from home? Dale, I work from home. I actually went through my version of this about my second year in the business, and I apologize, guys. I've got a little bit of a cough today, but anyway, about my second year in business, I went through my own version of this, and I started really getting very rational about what I was doing. And Dale, at that point, I had a decision to make, which was, well, heck, what direction do I want my business to go in the first place? I mean, can I have my cake and eat it too? In other words, I personally had employees in the past. I didn't want employees anymore, but I could rationally look at it and say, well, wait a minute, can I make more money without going into I've got an office and, real what we call W-2 employees in the United States, where I'm dealing with, the taxes and all that stuff, I mean, and all the headache and did you get to work on time and all that stuff, I didn't want that. But I went through this process, Dale, and I was able to rationally answer those questions for myself and determine if the business that I was on, if that track was a track I wanted to continue, or did I need to tweak it? And it turns out I needed to tweak it quite a bit. What do you do, Gloria? Do you rent an office space or work from home?
No, I don't. I have I just work from home. I firmly believe in that model. I believe in that remote lifestyle and
The
stuff like
distributed
that.
business, yeah.
Yep. But if I wanted to or needed to have an office, then I would know my numbers and be able to factor that in a heartbeat.
In other words, Dale, in theory, renting an office should allow you to scale more or work less. I mean, you should get some benefit from it, right? Besides just changing where the dollars are going, And this is something this is the kind of thing you look at to sort of say, and you can do a pro forma. In other words, you can do a guesstimate, right? Say, well, now if I rent that office, now that's going to cost this and that, and and you'd be looking at a little bigger version of what you're looking at here. Well, I wonder if that's actually going to work. And then when you go rent the office, you like compare it to what it was before, and you see if it's really working out, or maybe you go to one of those monthly shared office space things to kind of do a baby version of renting an office, and then you look at those numbers and you think, oh, wait a minute, that is severely screwing up my profit margin. Either I'm going to have to do it differently, or I'm going to have to not do this. I'm going to have to do something radically different. Client
Exactly.
costs, James says client costs 148.75. What does affiliate mean? Are you paying in this month? Hang on a second. While I was reading that, Dale had another great question. Great questions, guys. We really appreciate this. In other words, Gloria, where did that client acquisition cost come from? Can you tell us that?
Yeah, so what I did is I said, in this situation, did we have a salesperson selling this, or did we have maybe like referral fees or an affiliate type of system? And just to make it simple, I said, oh, let's just say we have affiliates out there. We have a lot of affiliates at Beep2B, and then the affiliates, they bring in sales, and then they get a piece of it, right? And so it was just kind of a make believe. I could change that and say I've got a salesperson, and then the salesperson says, hey, I'll sell these for you, but I want 25% of the gross, right? And if I don't know my numbers, and I don't know if I can afford to pay that or not, right? So I just put affiliates in here. We can call it sales reps, or cost of sale.
Or Gloria, I mean, you're going to have to get that client somehow, right?
That's right.
And so
Marketing.
maybe you're just sitting on your butt in front of like LinkedIn or something 2 hours a day. Well, now look, your profile intake interview was $60 for an hour. So that means that you're spending 120 hours per day trying to get a client.
Yeah.
So maybe you do that with your time. Part of the deal here, guys, is nothing is for free. Everything costs either money or time, right? So now you're sitting there doing that thing yourself, or maybe you're doing paid advertising. How are you going to figure out how to do the paid advertising? I mean, paid advertising varies all over the map. How much are you going to spend? LinkedIn's quite a bit more expensive than, let's say, YouTube ads. I mean, so yeah, you should always seek to pay less for more, but how in the world do you know, right? How this is working out. So James, really, I think that client acquisition cost was how much does it cost to get a client, right?
Yeah.
So to get people interested in something, to talk to 2 or 3 or 4 of them, to have 1 or 2 or 3 of them say no, and then to be actually having a client. How much does that entire process cost? Which frankly, Gloria, would require its own spreadsheet, right?
Yes, exactly. Yeah. But this is, good. It'll definitely give you enough insight to get going, depending on your method, basically your acquisition costs. That's right.
Yeah. Very good.
Yeah.
I think we're good. Continue on.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, you could see here that I just changed that, and I said, well, okay, I'll just say I'm working LinkedIn, and I said 2 hours a day. On average, it takes me 2 hours, and I get a client. It's not real 2 hours a day. It's how many hours do I put in before I get a client? How much prospecting would I have to do to actually get a client? So we'll just say 2 hours basically, and then you can see the numbers adjusted accordingly.
Right. And that,
Right?
frankly, you would have to
Yeah.
keep,
So then you
would
can
have
make
to keep up with
decisions.
also.
Yeah, that's right. That's exactly right, because this is where a lot of times that feast famine syndrome comes in, when you're trying to do everything, and then you're going like, I'm doing so much, and I can't. I feel like I'm just barely keeping above water. You can look at something like this, and you can say, what can I let go that I can still be profitable, but it gives me more time, so I can maybe go out and be the person that is client facing and stuff like that, right? Maybe that's where my time, where is your time best spent in your business, right? I guess that's the fundamental question. And
I'll
that's
tell you
where
another thing this answers is, do I need to be doing that?
That's right. Yeah, that's huge.
So Augusto, we'll get to that in a minute, buddy. But we're basically talking about how to actually build one of these businesses, and Gloria's given you all of this information for absolute free, not charging you a thing. Guys, when I mail out the replay for everybody, Gloria, can they have this spreadsheet?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'll go ahead and
I'll pop the spreadsheet up on. Yeah, I'll pop the spreadsheet up on Amazon S3, and y'all give you a link where you can download that. But it's no problem, Augusto. But your question, I had a great point, and Augusto's question just took my great point and just vaporized. I have no idea what the hell I was saying.
That's too funny. Yeah.
Oh well.
How's this landing for you guys? Is this making sense? Is it, I mean, what are some of your thoughts? Is it resonating? What's going on in your you know.
James is Augusto. Your question was better, my friend. Your question was better. Absolutely. Uh, James is getting all into this. Let me read you what he said. Wow, some cells like the client cost is in itself a spreadsheet. Yeah, because now, James, if we're going to get all rational about this here is basically getting very rational about fulfillment. But if we're going to get all rational about how to run this damn business, then we need to get very rational about how you're going to get a client in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, literally, and Gloria, I know this has happened to you, but I have actually talked to people, coached people, and I'm sitting here going through numbers and I'm gently, politely, lovingly saying, I mean, it's cool to be running your own business, but quite frankly, if you go down to one of those local service stations where they got all the food mart and all that stuff, you'll be making more money. Now,
Mm-hmm.
granted, that may not float your boat. You may not be happy about that. I mean, but it helps to rationally look at, holy crap, I'm making less than minimum wage in my own business,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
And so James, yeah, I mean, breaking down, I mean, Gloria's got the very beginnings here. That I'm sorry, I'm excited. Gloria's got the very beginnings here. Breaking all of this down to actually get it really granular to where you have the whole freaking business. And even with a little bitty business like you guys are generally running or trying to run, to where you have the whole business on a spreadsheet or spreadsheets,
Mm-hmm.
takes some doing, but it's the only way you're going to get to where you're running a real business year after year after year after year. Yeah. So
Yeah.
we're getting great feedback on this, guys.
Great.
By the way, in
Great.
terms
Great.
of
I'm glad that this
Augusto,
helps because
yeah,
uh
go ahead. We have a time
oh,
lag.
no,
I
no,
can't tell
I was waiting.
when anybody's talking. So anyway,
Sorry about that.
Augusto, your thing, what's the offer? Yeah, guys, we're going to talk to you about Glory actually helping you in your businesses with this. And in the spirit of everything I do, it's going to be remarkably affordable for everyone. But James and Don and everybody else, I mean, if you want an expert actually going through this process with you, helping you break this out to where you're looking at your business as a series of spreadsheets and you know how the hell to start it, you know what you're selling, you know how to scale it, you can keep up with it, you understand exactly what's happening. Yeah, we're going to be talking about how we can make that happen for you also. But we got some more cool stuff to show you in the interim. So Gloria, go ahead.
Yeah, no, so yeah, so with this, I just want to make sure that everybody's getting this, the light bulbs are going off and stuff like that. And then when you have this information, then the next thing is, okay, how can I replace myself? And what do I offer people to do that, right? And then you can make some really great decisions on putting some outsourcers and stuff around you that can help you fulfill this and help propel your business forward. Because what you don't want to do is you don't know your numbers, and so what happens is you're just kind of doing this wild guess to say, I got to get, I need help, but I'm going to do it like as cheap as possible, right? I'm just going to get the cheapest resource possible, the cheapest help I can get. And what ends up happening a lot of times, at least it did for me, is I spent so much time in trying to train people how to do this to what I considered acceptable, customer standards, that it was just I spent more time doing rework and fixing than would have been cheaper for me to do it in the first place, or a client gets it and they're not happy with the quality, that type of thing. So this is like the blindfolds going off, and then it helps you make those decisions so that you can build a great set of people to help you actually propel the business forward, right? And that's really the thing that you want. So it's really, these are the fundamental building blocks. It's, kind of step one is firstly, you've got to make sure that you can productize your business, sell the same thing to everyone in your target market. Obviously you want to differentiate yourself and all that, and we go into that. But the second thing is get a handle on your numbers so that how, what, if you're profitable or not. And if you are, how profitable are you? And then where is there room that you can begin replacing yourself? Because eventually what you want to do is you want to start filling in as much as possible, you know, to give you the time. It may not have to be in every area, but you definitely want to make sure that you are where it matters for your business, right? And typically, like for me, like I've told my team, you know, I really believe my value is in being, I know my product better than anybody. I'm more passionate about it than anybody. I developed it, right? And so I think the best thing is to educate potential clients about what it is we do and how, you know, we're so special and all that type of stuff. So what I try to do is I try to free myself enough so that I can be as client facing as possible, and just making sure that they're just delighted. You know, that's where I found the best, or potential clients are delighted because they think, you know, wow, this is great. You know, this is really cool. So that's kind of those types of decisions that I like to make, to say, where is me, where's the company going to get most bang for the buck with me in it? And then I try to place myself there, but I can only do that if I have this. And if you think I don't have one of these, you're crazy, because I do. As a matter of fact, I just brought on a gal to help, you know, get some of my systems and stuff squared away. And the first thing I did was I looked at this, my little worksheet, and I knew exactly how much room I had and what I could do, you know, you know, a place to kind of like negotiate and stuff like that. And it's like, you know, this is, the numbers are the numbers. I can't, you know, uh, pay you more or pay you less, that type of thing.
So Gloria, in your business, basically, you sort of went by, you know, by doing all this, and then you sort of went the route of you being the client-facing person and get giving clients a really you know, high level of service and all that stuff. But guys, that's not the only way to slice up a business. I mean, you do have like high-end Hilton hotels, and then you have the Comfort Inn. And I have
That's
no
right.
idea right now which one's more profitable. It could easily be the Comfort Inn. I
Yeah.
don't know. I mean, at the end of the day, your goal is to make that net profit number bigger, right?
Yes. Yes.
Uh,
And make the
at the end of the
decision.
year, the dollar
Yeah.
sign bigger at the end of the year. I mean, the percentage may end up being lower as and will be lower as you're outsourcing stuff
Right.
theoretically. But anyway, your goal is to make that net profit number bigger. But it
That's,
could be that you sit there and look at it and you think, profile intake interview, $60, screw that. I'm just going to send them a form to fill out.
yep, that's right. How can I
And
systemize? Mhm.
but then you're going to have to tweak another part of the spreadsheet. You're going to have to say, well, some people aren't going to like that. They're going to bail out. They're not going to want to do it, and I'm not going to get paid and all that stuff. So now, so look at this little bitty business. Now, what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to beef up client acquisition costs, because I'm going to have more drop off of clients who don't want my crappy intake form, right? I'm going to have to beef up client acquisition costs in order to lower the price on the profile intake interview number. And then I'm going to have to run that business for a while, and I'm going to have to compare the two, and I'm going to have to see which ones have the bigger net profit margin. And it might be the one with the crappy, here, just fill this out and send it back to me. And when you send it back to me, I'll send you an invoice, and then you pay me and blah, blah, blah. It may be that that business is more profitable, or it could easily be that that business is not profitable at all. There is no way for you to know
That,
without either running the business for 6 months to a year, which is really costly way of figuring it out, or doing what Gloria's doing right here.
yeah, yeah. I think that's really the bottom line, is that what this does is it puts the power back in your hands. You're no longer controlled by your business, but you control the business. You know, it doesn't have control over you. And whatever decisions that you decide to make for your business, you can make rationally, and then you can make you know, and make and just have the knowledge and confidence that it's the right decision based on, you know, the numbers and everything else going on. I think that's really the big take home message is that you have the power now. The business doesn't have the power over you. You have the power over the business. And it's
Gloria,
really, it took me a long time to get that to that place, but like when you get there, you don't want to go back. I can tell you that much.
yeah.
Mhm.
Another thing, Gloria, you can't, so this is like step two, you're knowing your numbers. You said
Mhm.
step one was productizing your offering. Guys,
Mhm.
there is no way, unless you just want to recreate a spreadsheet every freaking time you sell something to a client, but there's no way that you're going to know your numbers unless you are productizing your offering. And what it means in broad strokes is unless you're selling the same thing to everybody all the time.
Mhm.
You
Mhm.
know, you're selling service A, whatever that is, to everybody all the time. So now you pull out the spreadsheet. Here's a spreadsheet for the profile writing service. So if you tweak the product, the profile writing service product with every different client, like, well, they need a little bit of this, and that one needs that. Well, that one's going to need some of this other stuff. I mean, if you're doing that, you totally screwed this up, and you're never going to actually be able to scale your business to any size whatsoever.
Mhm. That's exactly right. Yeah, that's so true. Do we have any more questions or anything from anybody? Everybody's still tracking with this stuff because this is
Yeah,
mega.
yeah.
Yeah,
It's a,
excellent.
it's it's how you do it, guys.
Yep.
This is the missing link, really. It is the missing link. Any
Yeah.
questions anybody has before we move on? Just pop it in the chat and we'll get them answered. We'll have some Q&A at the end if you think of something in the interim.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
carry on, Gloria.
Yeah, this is pretty much, you know, kind of it in a nutshell, Lee. I mean, we spent quite a bit of time going over this, and I just can't really stress how important knowing this is. And I'll make sure I get this spreadsheet over to you guys because it really is a big deal. So yeah.
Cool. Well, let me ask the audience this, as a matter of fact, and let's, if you don't mind, let me get the thing back, whatever that is. What am I saying? Thing. Uh, Attendees, hang on. Let me make myself the presenter. Yep. And make presenter. Should do. Show my screen. Can we see my screen now?
Yep.
Okay, cool. So Gloria got with me a couple of weeks ago and really wanted to reach out. I mean, part of this was inspired by the virus. Part of it's just she's at a point in her own business right now. Gloria, correct me if I'm wrong, but part of it she's in a place in her own business right now where she can actually do something that you love, which is teaching people, frankly.
Yes.
I
Yes.
know you love to do that, and you hadn't been able to do that for a couple of years because you've been really building your business. And so she wanted to come up with a coaching course that was affordable, that would help you guys actually learn how to actually build your business. And we've given you a lot of what you would learn in this course, which is basically helping you productize. I mean, they're basically three steps, right, Gloria? So number one, productize your offering, which you have to know how to do that. I mean, that's not obvious. Number two, know your numbers, which we just spent a ton of time on.
Mhm.
And after that, what? Figuring out how to scale your business, right?
Yep. Yep. By you know, find the right outsourcers to help you. Yeah.
Figuring out if you want, I mean, now that you've got
Yeah.
all this information, if you want to, how you're going to, what kind of business do you want it to look like? You know, we had that little horizontal scale on there. Do you want to just be a solopreneur making $200,000-300,000 a year? Do you want to scale it up to a business that maybe you can sell someday? I mean, now the power is in your hand, and there's no right answer. There's just well, there is a right answer. There's the right answer for you, but it's not a one size fits all.
Right.
So Gloria came up with this really cool coaching program, and I'm not going to read you this whole thing, but I'm going to pop this. I'm going to pop this little URL into the chat. So we'll just send that, and you can just sort of go over this with me. how former agency failure, Gloria, that's really harsh, how former agency failure was able to build a successful agency and scale. You've heard a little bit about Gloria's story. This tells you more about it. And like, you know, Gloria, you shared with me where you were during those dark days, and that
Yeah.
was a few years ago. You are
Several years
like,
ago. Yeah, it was a while ago, but I still like it was painful. Yeah, for sure. I don't want to go
yeah,
back.
yeah, you get scars from stuff like that, right? But you're doing so really, really well now, and did get a second chance. And really, what happened, Gloria, is I really, when you started your first business, you didn't know all this stuff. You didn't know how to approach it. You basically just hit the ground running, selling, 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 selling.
Hmm.
And guess what? That was cool, but it wasn't enough, right?
That's
And that
right.
house of cards, I mean, you built a house. Look, you built a house. That's the good news. The bad news was it was a house of cards, right?
Hmm.
And that house
Yeah.
of cards folded, and there was some pain involved.
Hmm.
Um,
Very
Three
much so.
principles that you have to apply, and you learn the three principles that you have to apply if your business ever has a chance to scale to mid six figures and beyond. And frankly, I would say, Gloria, if you ever want a business where you not only have the money but the time to enjoy it, right? Okay, you
Yes.
know, I mean,
Yes.
I am in a different part of life than you're in. I have different goals. You know, my deal is to make good money, but I also have plenty of time to enjoy it. You know, your
Yep.
deal with your current business, I think, is more to build something that you can sell. Guys, this works for both of those goals,
Hmm.
but neither of those goals will be achieved unless you go at it in a rational way. So principle one, sell the same thing over and over again to everybody who's right for your business. There's so much that's so beautiful in that sentence. Number one, everyone who's right. Again, the number of people that ask me, well, Lee, what are the best businesses to sell to? Question is now answered, right? When you actually approach your business this way, because you productize your offering, you're also, frankly, at that same time, you are pre-selecting the kind of business that you need to be selling to. How big are they? How much money do they have? Generally, what niche or niche are they
Hmm.
in? And how are they going to pay you? Can they pay you? And all that stuff. All of that gets answered during the productizing process.
Yep.
So the productizing process is not done in a vacuum. The productizing process is not only the product, but the business you're going to sell it to. You get all of that figured out. And
Yeah.
yes, it is figured. This is not a word, but it is figurable outable. You can figure it out, right? You can figure it out, especially, you know, with the help of somebody like Gloria, you can figure it out from the get-go without having to go through 1 or 2 years of running the business and selling the wrong thing to the wrong companies. You got to know your number. We just went over that in great deal. And Gloria, I know in the coaching, you go over that in massively more detail.
Yeah, yeah,
In
we
the
really dig into, very granular to make sure that everything, is covered. So,
And then principle three, outsource correctly. What to outsource? Do you want to outsource? I mean, we just looked at the little spreadsheet there. Which parts of that to outsource? Some of them, those things took, even with that little bitty profile writing business, those things took wildly different people, different levels of skill, right? I mean,
hmm.
just, sending something to a client and, calling them up and, or tech, emailing them saying, hey, did you get it? Do you like it? If you'll give me your, log into your social media accounts, we'll put it up there for you. That takes so much less skill than actually the intake interview, when you're trying to, get the information that you need to actually write the profile.
Hmm.
So going over all of this stuff, right, and helping you put together all of this stuff, you can read the sales letter on your own. Gloria, I don't know how many days you're selling this for this insanely low price, but guys, at some point we'll have a counter up here in the next day or two. But
Hmm.
anyway, so what's included in the Freedom Profit Systems workshop? And that's really what we're calling this particular coaching, Freedom Profit System, because it is a system. We're talking about profit, and you saw the number there on the spreadsheet, and it does lead to freedom because now you can build your business at will, right? See, before, and I know, I know how you think. I used to think like this too. And, I have a lot of coaching conversations with people. Before, your idea of building a business was, well, let me buy the next, let me buy the next info product, next piece of software. Maybe that will work. Okay.
Hmm.
Not knocking that stuff. That stuff is really, really useful, but it was never going to help you build a real business. It is nothing more than very important skills and techniques and things that you would use in building a business. So it is important. All that stuff taking up space on your hard drive is important, and you didn't waste your money. It's just that you need a mold to put that in. And what we're talking about is the mold. Okay,
Yeah.
so in week one, so this is broken up into 3 weeks. Week one, we're covering how to productize your offering. It's not obvious how to do that. Okay, week two, we're going to really, really dig deeply into those numbers. And in week three, we're going to talk about, and this is going to be different for each of you, but we're going to talk about taking your numbers and figuring out, okay, now that I got that rolling, I'm still doing most of the fulfillment myself. I know exactly what I'm doing when I'm doing it. I know exactly how much that's costing me. Now, which one of these do I want to start peeling off and giving to someone? And can I, like we said, can I make that net profit even fatter by, finding someone else to do that?
Hmm.
So, Gloria, let's just, y'all can read this yourselves. It's a really cool sales letter. It's got all kinds of cool stuff in here, like these great testimonials and stuff from real live people. This isn't just some crap that Gloria cribbed from somewhere. But I really like right here, let's make this easy. Here's why you need to grab this thing. And again, I'm not going to read you the sales letter, but I'm going to just sort of read you this. How to build a real digital agency to scale. In other words, Freedom Profit System is
Yeah.
not like any course out there. Guys, this isn't the same old, same old. There's nothing sexy here, except it is really, really cool when your business starts really working and you actually start making real money and you actually understand why. That is, there are very few things in life that are cooler than that. So
Hmm.
Gloria's taken high dollar value business consultant solutions. Where does she get that? This is what she does for a living. Okay, so she's taken that and simplified them so that you can apply these to real world concepts, and shows you exactly how you need to grow and scale your digital agency. So work is supported by, now I want you to see this because we're talking to a lady who happens to be a dear friend of mine, and so I get special treatment. In other words, I get to call her up and talk to her, but not everybody does, right?
Hmm.
This workshop is supported by open office hours. You're going to get open office hours with Gloria included in the price. And also, and I love this next part because it is so useful for everybody, hot seat sessions.
Yeah, it's big.
So our webinars are going to have hot seat sessions where you can run stuff by Gloria and also me. And we're going to help you troubleshoot and apply this to your business. So you may be thinking, well, you know, this is kind of a group coaching thing. Yeah, it's kind of a group coaching thing, but here's where we put the individuality in it. So that with James is going to have a different issue perhaps than Augusto is going to have, or that Don is going to have. And here's where we tweak it so that it actually does apply to you and that specific business that you're trying to build. So guys, you can get all of this for the insanely low price of $97. We're going to have this, today's Monday, we're going to have this open for a few days. I'm not exactly sure how long. It really depends on how, and we sold a few this weekend. It depends on how many people we get in here. We don't want to overload ourselves because we want to make sure that we have enough people to give, to where we can give value to
Hmm.
you,
Hmm.
but not have so many to where that all gets diluted,
Yeah.
right? In other words, to where we can't do the job, right? So at some point we'll cap this off. I don't know exactly when, but you will get plenty of fair warning, all right? And so Gloria and I'll decide in a day or two. We'll
Hmm.
put a counter up on the page and just let you know via email, hey, this is only available for a day or two more, so either get it or don't. $97 for all of this, for actually having Gloria teach you and work with you step by step to finally build that business you've always been struggling with and always been dreaming of. $97. It really should have a 1 in front of it and a 0 behind it. It really should be 1970, but it's not, because Gloria wants to give back, and because we're in the middle of the virus and we know that people are stressed out a little bit, but
Yeah.
you know, we're here to help. So guys, I
Yeah.
put this in the chat as I've spoken. You have a few days, go over to the sales letter, read it at your leisure, and get on this. All right. I'm serious. Been there, done that, got all the t-shirts about doing everything wrong. And I've got mistakes that Gloria didn't even know about. But this is the stuff that makes it or breaks it. This stuff, not that other stuff. This is the
Yeah.
stuff that makes it or breaks it.
Yeah, that's really, just like Lee said, that's totally why I wanted to do this. It's not sexy, it's not, clever or anything like that, but I'm to the point where I can do this type of thing, and I really felt like one of these days in the very near future, I know it, I can feel it, we're going to be over this whole situation, right, that we're in, the great hunkering down period. And
Yeah.
when we're over that, then wouldn't it be great if, we could all just start really building our business in such a way that's going to really, help propel you and meet whatever goals you were. And then thinking about it, I was like, this is what, seriously people need to know. And that's just all there is to it.
Absolutely.
It's not sexy, but
Ja-
it's good. Mhm.
Well, what is sexy is when your business actually does start to work.
Yes, that's
There's
very
really
sexy,
not
hot.
much that's cool. I can
Yeah.
name maybe 3 things in life that are cooler, but I'm not allowed to talk about some of them in a public space. But that's one of the coolest things
Hmm.
that there is. I mean, when the freaking thing's working, you're sitting there looking and say, I built that, I did that. I'm
It's
making more money than I've ever made in my life because of that.
yeah,
That,
yeah.
my friends,
It's
is,
transformative. It's a
yes.
transformative thing.
James is all in. James is all in, and
I can't
all
wait to
in
see
is
you on the
spelled with
workshop.
capital letters.
Great.
Absolutely. When you sign up, you're going to get a couple of emails coming from me. One will be automatically signing you up to the webinars. Another one will be a members area. The members area has nothing in it thus far. It will be populated with stuff. You get support. Can't figure out how to log in, can't figure out how to do something. Don't sit there and get frustrated. Reach out to us on support. We're here to help, obviously.
Yeah.
Don is looking forward to the workshop. We're looking forward to you being in the workshop, Don.
Great. Great. I'm
There you
excited.
have it. I'm excited too. What about Q&A? Anybody got any? We've been on here an hour and a half. Really appreciate your time. And Gloria, I know you got tons of stuff to do, but any questions
Yeah.
that we can answer while we got us all right here, right now? Otherwise, I'm going to power it down, and it should have the replay mailed out to you, along with the link to the spreadsheet,
Yeah.
probably a little later on tonight. Any other questions we got? Gloria, I think we're good.
We're good. Great.
So,
Great.
guys,
Appreciate your time.
Gloria, thank you so much for your time. This is such an amazing offer that you're making these people. This is the difference between success and not success,
Lee,
right here.
I'm really honored to be able to do this for you and your folks and stuff like that. Like I said, Lee I mean, I reached out to him a long, long time ago, and we became friends, and he helped me. And one of his products really helped me, get that initial business going. And I know there were some things going on with the business, but it really is truly an honor, and I really appreciate it. I'm really looking
Really.
forward to those that partake of it. It'll be great.
Well, a couple of things. Thank you. And I really appreciate your time. But while we were talking, we had a couple of questions. Gregory's got a great question. Are there expensive upgrades, or will this course be enough? No, Gregory, there are no OTOs to this course. You
Yeah, no.
just need this course. That's
Mhm.
all. And I'm going to read some of the rest of your thing. But I can tell by reading the rest of your question that you already have enough of. So guys, you do need something to sell, right? Okay, and you know we can help you with that, but as part of the productizing thing.
Mhm, mhm.
But Gregory says, struggling with your local business. Gregory, that would be you and everybody else, right? So don't feel alone. What I want to market as high quality mobile apps to local businesses sounds like a really cool and needed thing. My God, if anybody ever needed to get online digitally right now, it would be all businesses in the midst of the pandemic. I think businesses are learning this lesson, Gregory. In a
Yeah.
program that does a bunch of stuff. Yeah, yeah. Guys, in other words, Gregory's asking, Gregory's already got a product, a type of service and stuff
Mhm,
like that that he is wanting to sell to businesses. Can what we're talking about be used in conjunction with that? 100%.
yeah.
100%. See, the problem, guys, is not that you don't know what to sell or that you don't have the skills or you don't have access to the skills or you don't have the training or you don't have the software, because I guarantee you, if I got in a plane and flew over to where Gregory was and hijacked his computer and looked at the info products and software, Gregory's going to have plenty of stuff on there that one could build a business out of. Plenty of
Mhm,
stuff.
mhm.
Uh,
Yep.
that's not the problem. Really, I mean, and look, I run a business selling info products. I'm not against that. They're extremely important, right? Okay, that's not the problem. The problem is not your equipment, right? The problem is you don't know how to build a business. And
Mhm.
Glory's going to fix that problem for you. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Augusto, I'll ask her that, and we'll talk about that via email. Okay, so we'll figure that out for you also. Any other questions? Cool beans, guys. Be a little later before we can mail out the replay, but we will mail that out and we'll have a few days while this is open. So thank you
Yeah.
so much, Gloria. Appreciate your time.
Yeah.
And we will see
Thank
everybody.
you.
Hopefully, we will see you guys on the first webinar. Awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. My honor. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate your time.